Rural Heritage on RFD TV is brought to you by Rural Heritage Magazine, a bi-monthly magazine featuring articles about farming and logging with draft animal power, small-scale diversified family farming and homesteading, and other aspects of our rich rural heritage. Rural Heritage Magazine, borrowing from yesterday to do the work of today. For subscription information, please call 319-362-3027 or order online at www.ruralheritage.com. Hi, I'm Joe Mishka. Welcome to another episode of Rural Heritage TV.
My name is Brenda Plummer. I'm president of the Fleming County Museum Society. We're here at the Fleming County Covered Bridge Museum in Flemingsburg, Kentucky. The building itself is owned by the city, and in the late 1990s, early 2000s, they received a Department of Transportation grant to renovate the building. And part of that, you had to spotlight transportation. And so we decided to spotlight covered bridges. So the building was renovated and we opened in 2006. So we've been open 18 years. It's completely run by volunteers. And we are open officially 2 days a week. But if there are groups who like to come in, we try to schedule them. We try to have various events throughout the year. And that type of thing. We do get a lot of groups who are coming to see the bridges, and individuals who come in from all over the United States who come in to see our bridges. So sometimes they come in and they look around at what we have, and other times it's just a very quick thing where they'll pick up a map or brochures about the bridges, and then they'll go on out. And sometimes I have to give directions as to where the bridges are located and that type of thing. Most of the items that we have in the museum have been donated. So we have a hodgepodge of everything. We have things to do with schools that are no longer here. We have things to do with businesses. We have things to do with various people who have lived here and maybe gone on to do various and sundry things. And of course we have our bridges. We have several models here in the museum that belong to a man named Stock Bauer. Now, Stock's father and grandfather actually had a covered bridge building company. It was called the Bauer Bridge Company, and they built a lot of bridges in Ohio and Kentucky. Stock did not build the bridges, but he repaired them. We have lots of pictures that have to do with bridges not only in our county, but in the state of Kentucky. We have a mural that has some of the bridges that used to be in this county. We have pieces of the Goddard Bridge. We have postcards. We have articles. We have scrapbooks with various things that have happened through the years. We have books on the various covered bridges. And you know, people bring us in things all the time that, you know, maybe we didn't know about. So you can come in, you can look at the models, you can look at the pictures, you can do research with some of our books, and then you can go out and visit our bridges. Our county became a county in 1798. Okay. We were the 26th county out of 120 in Kentucky. We do have a history of men who served in the Revolutionary War who came here and settled. We have people who came here who they were called stations, but basically they were forts. We had 3 of them here. Daniel Boone was in this area at the time.
You know you like watching Rural Heritage on TV, but did you know we have even more stories like these in our bi-monthly magazine? Since 1976, Rural Heritage has been bringing readers stories and photos about training and working with draft animals, as well as information about homesteading, regenerative agriculture, and upcoming events like those featured on our TV show. A 1-year subscription costs $34.95. Just call 1-319-362-3027 or visit ruralheritage.com. That's 1-319-362-3027.
My name is Jenny Reeves, and I'm Vice President of the Buffalo Trace Covered Bridge Authority, which covers several counties. And so we are involved in protection of the covered bridges. and we get the if we can get some grants, we've worked forever, and we're so excited about 2 grants, one for the Grain City and the other one for the Ringo's Mills. And so we're currently having the restoration of the Grain City, and we're getting ready for the Ringo's Mills. And both will be done by the national authority, Arnold Grayton and his associates from New Hampshire.
Wow.
They're coming here to do that. And
Exciting.
yes, it's very exciting. And so anyway, that's our major involvement with the Covered Bridge Authority. We signed the contracts. Of course, we don't have the money. We have to get the grants for them, the Department of Transportation. We're really excited that we have had that funding to do this. Well, each of these at one time were very, very popular before cars, especially. It was the center of the hub of activity. Well, what you will notice on the Goddard Bridge that's unique to the other two is that it's a town lattice design. Athol Town was the designer, 1820. And that bridge was built with his 1820 design. Now, when Mr. Bowers restored it, he brought it up to the later model of 1830, I believe. But anyway, it is the oldest in Kentucky and one of the few left in the nation. So that's the significance of the Goddard Bridge. And these are the wooden pegs. You saw the wooden peg over there at the museum.
Yeah.
So it's put together, all with wooden pegs. And these right here were some that were missing, and this was like when Bauer fixed it in 1968. He had these hand done up on Pea Ridge Mountain back up there. But
Well, I mean, these pieces were brought in later.
yes, this is a cistern I was
Yes,
talking
exactly.
about. So
Yep.
see, it's weathered.
Reinforcing.
Yes, it's holding the original beams up, but this is the new part that was put in to hold it up. This church burned in 1980, and so anyway, we wanted to put it back as near as possible because of all the pictures and the locale and so forth. So it was rebuilt in the same design as the original church was. The only thing that was left in that burning was the bell, and it was cracked, so we couldn't use it. So we wanted to commemorate that, so that's what it is. That's why it's out there.
Okay.
Here, where they had to cut up, this was all rotten.
It was exposed.
Yes, and the cords underneath with all the flooding were totally rotten and had to be replaced. So the cords underneath, which really stabilizes the bridge, it's the most important part of the bridge, they've had to replace that. But as you can see, he's saving as much as possible of the original part built in the 1800s. So,
What a job.
oh yeah, and in 2020, we had a major flood, and so anyway, the bridge, the abutment broke, and it was about to go in the water, and so nobody in Kentucky would touch it. The engineers said they didn't know what to do with it, so they called Arnold. He came down, and he said, I think I can save it. So what he did, he hired, it was a huge, big crane. I forgot what state he brought it in from. But anyway, then he put a steel cable around this underneath there. You can still see some of the steel there where it's holding it up for the restoration. That was put in 2020 to keep it from falling into Fox Creek.
Wow.
So major work to this bridge because we thought we were going to lose it. And Arnold Grayton has saved it for us. So we're terribly excited, just really excited.
And grateful, I'm sure.
Yes, we are. This bridge was a little later after the Industrial Revolution, and it had those big bolts that held it together. And so you can see the bolts, he's putting them back in there. And you see the new wood and the old wood. Okay, that's called sistering. And it helps support the bridge so that it doesn't decay as quickly. So he thinks it'll be good for 100 years
Wow.
with the sistering approach.
So a lot of the iron that we see now will be gone when it's
Yes,
done.
that
it's just
supports. Yeah,
right.
That is support. Yes,
Sure.
that'll be gone when they get it all done. So, and it's a sister to the Ringos that we're going to visit here in a few minutes.
Okay.
So they're both very similar. They're king post design. It's what it's called. So anyway, it's just very simple, easy to maintain, easy to build, cheap, you know.
In today's digital and impersonal age, there's nothing like recording appointments and family events in a calendar hanging on your wall for the whole family to use, then copying them to next year's calendar in December. Our Draft Horse wall calendars measure 12 by 19 inches, are wire bound to hang flat, and printed on heavy paper with large date squares for recording notes. One calendar costs $17.95. Buy two for $32 and save. All calendars are ship free in the USA. To order yours, call 319-362-3027.
And this bridge was built to serve the needs of the community for the mills. There was a big mill to grind corn and so forth to serve the farmers and the local folk before cars. So that was in its heyday.
Okay. And where was the mill located? Near
It
here?
would have been probably, I'd say it was on the other side. but
Yeah,
we've been
Okay.
along
with the
here
water,
along
'cause
the
they
So it's
had
powered by
water.
this creek.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, it
There's
had to.
also a wool. They brought wool here to be carded.
Yeah,
Oh,
yes,
sure.
they had a carting
Okay.
in with the mill.
All over.
Another level of the mill.
All right. So this bridge is due for additional restoration?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it's. We wanted to get it before you'll see stuff that needs, like I say, the cords underneath that holds the stabilization is all rotted, and that's a big problem. And you'll see other things that are happening when you really look at it. Yes, we want to get it before it gets in the state that Green City was.
The word cords, is that C-O-R-D? Cord?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
And that is,
It's a stabilization underneath the bridge. The wood underneath that holds the bridge
okay.
together.
Okay.
And the roof needs to be replaced. You know, we've had a little repair work, but it's there's several things that needs to be done.
It's hard to imagine the project that this would have been back in the day, doing this
Right.
with horse-drawn vehicles and manpower and
Right.
physics.
All the things going on. So you can see where some of the wood has had to be put down to keep it from falling in that was deteriorating so badly.
And so this one doesn't have those bolts that you were showing me.
It may whenever
Okay.
they get into it,
I see.
because they didn't know how long. See, you can see that cords are all
Right.
starting
Yep,
to
the buckle.
deteriorate. Because they didn't know just how old those big bolts were until they took the bridge apart,
I see.
and that's when they discovered. And they wanted those to be visible, so that's.
Sure. So when you have flooding, it's possible for it to get up to this deck, because I see
Yes.
driftwood caught underneath in
yes,
there.
Yes, it is, yes. And see, the Green City had designs up as high as the water had been in the bridge. And so that's why this all rots underneath, and which is the old stabilization. Now what you'll notice here is the design of the bridge. See, it just doesn't show you much. It's just the post, the King's Post. For the Goddard Bridge, you're going to see a totally different thing. And the Goddard Bridge frames a little country church. And it's the only one in the nation that does that.
Okay.
Vermont has a little church over to the side of one of the covered bridges. But that's why people want to stop and take pictures, because it just frames it beautifully.
So there have been thousands and thousands of pictures with the
Oh,
same
yeah,
view.
all
Yeah,
over the United States.
Right,
Yes.
right, yeah.
Yes.
that's terrific. It's a beautiful bridge.
Yes, it is. Now, all this wood that you see here and on the other side,
Sure.
and stuff that try is we put that there.
It's
when we had
temporary.
it's a temporary thing, just so somebody wouldn't get hurt.
Sure.
And
Right.
so anyway, that's what that's all about. But anyway, we still like to promote our covered bridges. Like I say, I'm the fanatic.
Well, I can understand why.
Yes.
It's a beautiful piece of history,
Uh-huh.
and in such danger. Of,
Yes,
of-
that's the
of
thing.
being
We
lost.
almost lost all of them.
Right. Why Ringos? What is that word?
The guy that established this little area was Ringo's. It was his last name.
I see.
He was a Revolutionary War soldier,
Okay.
and so he got this land as part of his settlement for the war.
Okay.
And so then they named it after him. And the Fox Creek is it was named because a guy by the name, his last name was Fox, was drowned in the water, and so they named that in honor of him.
Okay.
He was from Mason County.
Watered on them. And we have, of course, we have various ornaments and that type of thing that are sold to tourists. Again, that's from 1968 when Stock was working on the bridge. And there's a picture of Mr. Bauer.
Ah, okay.
And we even have a piece, Mr. Grayton, who actually renovated several of the covered bridges here in Kentucky. When he was renovating the Robertson County Bridge, Johnson Creek, he ended up bringing that to us. We have, that's a quilt piece, that's a bridge. Do you see it right there?
I do. Yep.
Um,
It certainly captures the imagination and fascination of people.
Yeah,
Covered bridge.
it does, it does. In here, we have people who have donated various prints.
Wow. They are happy to find a place that reveres the bridges as much as they do.
Right, right. Those are laser prints. Unfortunately, they are fading.
Sure.
But early when we opened, a gentleman went and donated those to us.
Right.
We even have in here our Fleming County Afghan, which has, and I'll fix that for you so you can have it, that has our bridges on it. And even though Sherburne is gone, there are so many people that still remember that we still try to include it in a lot of the things that
Sure.
we do.
Sure.
These two pictures were donated by the family of William Henry Eddy, and he was actually from Cincinnati, and in the summer he would come out and he would draw and paint, and so they gave them to us. So, and we have another one there, stock. Let's see. Oh, here's a picture from 1900 of the Sherburne Bridge. Very hard to see, but there it is.
Yeah.
And let's see. Like I said, these are tin punch. A local artist has done those.
I see. So he does the tin and then paints it?
She.
Nice. She, okay.
Yeah. Yep. Oh, this is something you might want to see. The Goddard Bridge was not originally where it's located now. It was a mile down the road.
Oh, okay.
This is what it looked like before the Goddard Bridge was put in. And this is what was there.
It's a pedestrian bridge.
A swinging bridge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was actually moved there in about 1932, something to that effect.
So even then they had an eye to preservation, or it was
Well,
more?
we're not really sure why.
Sure.
Jenny may be able to explain it better, but
Sure.
it was during the Depression. They needed something to cross that creek because there would have been cars at that time and they had to go down in the creek and go up. So I don't know if they just thought that was the most economical thing to do and they moved the bridge, but we're sure glad they did it
Yeah.
and
Right.
didn't destroy it.
Exactly.
Okay. We've got a couple more bottles in here. Y'all are, look at y'all moving.
We gonna go that way?
Skirting the screen away from the camera.
Yep, they're going. Here is another model. This is the Ringo's Mill Bridge. This was built by one of our local people, Woody Mitchell. We actually had this donated, and you can see this was the VFW Simon Kenton Auxiliary, and it's made out of poppies. And it has the church and the bridge.
Wow.
And this table is actually made from pieces of the Goddard Bridge.
Wow.
As I was telling you, there were some wood pieces they weren't able to use. And so they donated them to the county, and our county gave them to the museum to sell to make some money for our museum. And this happened to belong to my dad. He grew up at Goddard, so he bought some of the wood and had a gentleman make this. You can see all the other stuff we've got.
Yeah, you've got a really nice collection.
A lot of stuff.
Yes, ma'am.
Here's another painting. This one was done by a local artist. This is of Sherburne. And two more of Mr. Rankin's paintings. This one is of Ringo's and another of Goddard.
Very nice.
And we even have pictures that were taken at various times of some of the other bridges. That's Walcott and Bracken County. So those are all part of our stuff.
That's great.
But yeah, we have various and sundry things. And we have people that were from here that went on to do some pretty cool stuff. We had people who became governors of other states, professional baseball players.
This program is available for purchase. To order your copy, please call 319-362-3027 or visit www.ruralheritage.com. Rural Heritage is a bi-monthly magazine dedicated to draft animal farming and logging, as well as other aspects of our rich rural heritage. It is published by Mishka Press, which also offers a complete line of back-to-the-land books, DVDs, and calendars. Call or write for a catalog or subscription information, or visit our website at www.ruralheritage.com.